What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm actually going to be doing a reactionary on this YouTuber known as Replayrs. He does have 26 subscribers, and he had some really good points on this video. But I will say one thing before we dive right into this is that he's absolutely wrong about the art style of what they're doing with the remasters for Soul Reaver 1 and Soul Reaver 2. Soul Reaver 1 specifically, because what he does not know, I do not work in the gaming industry, by the way, I'm not a professional, is that before this remastered even is coming a thing, it is a thing, is that with the characters, much like what they showed with Rahab and Mobius and what Raziel looks like, is that in the PS1 version of the game, yes, they did have lower polygon counts and textures and vice versa, and that's how they were utilized the PS1 graphics of that time. But now, what I will say is, in fact, that since they are remastering Soul Reaver 1 specifically, other than Soul Reaver 2, and Soul Reaver 1, especially like Rahab for what we saw with the screenshots, is that that's exactly what that's exactly what he was initially to look like before that actually eventually got cut. That is a cut content from Soul Reaver 1. A lot of people don't know that. So I actually did a lot of research on this, and what I will say, he is absolutely wrong. So now I will say, when it comes to this art style, doing the comparisons from, the statue from the getting the water glyph, if I remember correctly, and if you can see how the statue looks like on the left of the video and then the statue on the right, it's going to show you the much higher resolution, the fidelity of it, the graphic of it. It looks really good. And here's the thing, when it comes to a remaster, for what I've noticed, because I've played several remasters of, like Quake 1, Quake 2, or Doom 64, those games were actually able to utilize a different type of engine known as the Kex engine from Night Dive Studios. They were able to utilize that engine to the utmost, making those games much better work on modern consoles that we have now and today in 2024. So I really think that, here's the thing, Raziel has no jaw. Okay, he used to have a jaw when he was a Seraphim being in the game before he got thrown into the abyss and all that kind of stuff. So again, he has no jaw, and I'm gonna say right now, I really think the fact of the matter is that you can switch between the PS1 version to the remastered version of the same game. And I gotta say one thing, I think the remastered version does a much better justice. Yes, maybe the quality of the remaster might not have that same type of nostalgia effect, but to a certain degree, it kind of does at the same time because it still utilizes. If you can see in the background of Raziel of the remastered version, you can see that in the background where Raziel is on the pedestal when he encountered Rahab in the Drowned Abbey, it's a little darker. I don't think a lot of people notice this, but I'm noticing it because I'm very visual. So I really think that this person, like I said, I do agree with some of his points. I do. And like I said, I'm not a professional here. I'm just saying that I think he's being very misunderstood and misinterpreting of what's really going to happen with this remaster, especially for Soul Reaver 1 other than Soul Reaver 2. And so I do agree that the fix does look better. But again, I think I've mentioned this in my video like this before, is that doing a proper remake will not work. It won't. Because there's a lot of things that you have to follow if you're going to be doing a remake. And that is one thing that you do not want to do if you're going to remake an old school nostalgia trip game like the Legacy of Kain series, especially like Blood on Man Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2, Blood on Man 2, or Legacy of Kain Defiance. I mean, these games are old. But again, I think revitalizing and bringing and digging up the dog from, maybe Blood on Man Legacy of Kain could have possibly get a remake, but they got to do it right and still have that nostalgia factor. So now, what we're seeing here, what he does not know as well when it comes to Malkaya, for what I understand as well, because I did research, this is the proper version of Malkaya on the right. This was actually supposed to happen, But the reason why they did not do this is because they did not have this strong enough technology to make this what utilize Malkiah to what he actually looks like. That's what's really cool about today, because and that's the reason why he also has a short head, is because they were able to utilize better systems and mechanics to bring out Malkiah's true tonality of his brute force, of the way how he just like dunk 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 how he walks, and he can't run, right, because he's a big hulking beast. And so what he does not also understand is the fact that when it comes to Malkiah, he says that the bones are meant to be dry. In the remastered version, I'm sorry to say it, the bones look dry. Okay? And so, and another thing what I do notice when it comes, like really seeing the whole entire trailer more than once, the reveal trailer, I really think that this remastered versions for Soul Reaver 1 and for Soul Reaver 2, I think that they are going to make these games justice in terms of its quality, its visual appealing and aesthetic, environmental, artistical, and the vibrancy of it. And so here again, now he's talking. Now this is what I was talking about Rahab, right? Rahab was meant to look like this. On the left, that is not what he was supposed to look like. Because if we did have today's technology back in that time, Rahab would look like this. This is what Rahab was supposed to look like, for what I understand as well. Because, like I said, I did 100% research on this, and this remastered version of Rahab is indeed the fact, the proper way of what Rahab was supposed to look like. So my apologies on that repetition there. So, like I said, I'm very visual, and I'm not a professional. I'm kind of putting this person a little bit in his place a little bit. I'm not calling him out that he's a freaking shill or a fake. I'm not saying that. I'm not condoning that at all. I just think that now he's saying that it's fixed. Rahab was not. I'm disagreeing on this because I don't like the fact of what Raziel looks like in the fixed. Or Rahab, excuse me. And I don't know, dude. I just think that he sounds like he's a professional artist or something like that, and that I actually respect if he is. But if he isn't, all his quandaries, all his quarrels about the remastered, especially for Soul Reaver 1 and less on Soul Reaver 2, maybe, possibly, I think he's wrong. And like I said, maybe I am calling him out a little bit on his takes of what he's saying about this remaster for these two games. But again, it's only like we're in October now. So we basically have like maybe about a month and a half before this game initially releases of this year. So I really think that Aspire Media is doing a very good job of helming this project. And, and there's another reason why we're getting these remasters specifically, is because there is a graphic novel known as Soul Reaver: The Dead Shall Rise. It is a prequel to Legacy of Kain's Soul Reaver, and this is another reason why we're getting the Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remasters as well. Now, if you take a look real quick with Raziel's head from the fixed to the remastered into the original, I believe the remastered version looks much better than from than the fixed, because like I said again, he has no jaw. So it's just like, I don't know what his complaint is about that, but that's all I got to say. But anyways, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Any comments or questions, you know what to do. Put them in the comment section below, guys. And I'll chat with you guys later. And I'm hoping to make more video content on this type of new transition that I've been thinking about doing on my channel as well. And you guys have a good rest of your week. Peace. It looks really good, though. Can't wait.